Welcome to Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on the show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. We would like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation, Graybeard Publishing, and of course, Sheepdog Response. We would also like to recognize some of our favorite nonprofit charities who are doing great things for those who have served this country of ours. Veterans Outdoors, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation, PinupsForVets.com, and the Lauren F. Bruner USS Arizona Memorial Foundation. To learn more about these nonprofits and how you can donate to their awesome causes, visit our website at www.stewandthenunn.com. And hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Wow, look, that may have been kind of loud. Sorry about that. Stu and the Nunn here, November 17th. We've been gone for a couple weeks. And I apologize for that. And I hope we can hang on air all night tonight. Well, not all night, but for the entire show tonight. For those who don't know, I'm in the northern studio, which if you've watched the Weather Channel or news, everyone's talking about, I mean, Jim Cantori flew in here today. He got him some wings. So, yeah, everyone's talking about Buffalo, and we are starting to get nailed right now. I'm starting to see the snow go by the security cameras. I got people putting up pictures. So my internet is not doing well tonight. You may notice I look a little bit choppy. I don't have great frames per second pushing out right now. So hopefully we can stay on for this entire show. But I want to welcome, I got to change I have gear for grunts up there. But I want to welcome Rob, the unpaid producer, to the show. Hey, Rob, how you doing? Thank you for joining me tonight.
I'm doing well, sir. And yourself?
Good. Just getting ready for this. Got the snow blower out and got it ready and everything cleaned up in the back and the front so I can clearly cut the snow, as we say, and do all that kind of stuff and get ready for this. So it is a little chilly. How's the weather there?
The weather here's a little chilly. I think we're about, I don't know, five degrees warmer than you, but it's still pretty chilly, especially for a southern boy like myself that's not used to the cold weather. But I was watching a video earlier on weather.com, and they were explaining how in places like Buffalo and et cetera, there's places around the lakes, how that wind comes across those lakes and just really, you've got that warm water with the lakes and then the cold air coming over it, and it really just creates a lot of turmoil and generates a lot of snow.
Yes.
So.
I call it fake snow. Yeah. Because it's not caused by a weather front, right? It is literally just wind blowing across a lake that's not frozen, and the air's cold, and it picks up the water as it shoots across. The whole reason why Buffalo gets it, Detroit doesn't really get it because it's on the west side of Lake Erie.
Right.
And Toronto will sometimes get it if it gets it if the winds are blowing south and north, that kind of stuff. So yes, it is purely from just wind blowing across the lake, picking up the moisture and dropping it. Into sometimes very thin bands, a mile or two wide. You go a mile or two out of it and there's nothing, or there's a dusting, and you get into it and it's multiple feet. So everyone's been hearing the predictions, 4 to 6 feet, all that stuff in 48 hours, which is no joke, 3 to 4 inches per hour average. And that will hit in some of the parts. Usually it'll probably hit in the parts where you get most of the snow here, which is south of Buffalo. That's where it's already nailing them pretty good. But the northern parts of Buffalo don't always get it just because of how the winds do. But the bands shift north sometimes, and we're going to get some. But it looks like the south of Buffalo is going to get the 5 to 7 feet, or 5 to 6 feet. I don't know if you remember, Rob, in 2014, literally this same time, they called it Snowvember 2014. It was all over the news because it was literally a 2 mile wide band, and it dropped some upwards of 8 or 9 feet of snow. And just socked in everybody. And it literally was You drive from my house down to there, and you would just on the side of the road see the snow slowly increase as you got closer to the band. But where I was maybe an inch and a half on my yard, and 20 minutes away it was 7 feet. It's a very weird thing to have.
Well, I was born and raised on the coast in Texas, and so never saw snow. The first time I saw real snow was after I joined the military. And
another benefit of the military, get out there and see the world.
Ended up in a couple of different places that got some pretty good snow: Germany, Bosnia, etc. So,
right.
But here I'm in year 2 of Arkansas, and the temperatures are typically 10 to 15 degrees colder than what I'm used to in Texas. So there is a little bit getting used to. So we've already had, well below freezing days and nights. So definitely something to get used to for this Texas boy.
Yeah. Well, Austin did have some pretty deep, dark snow and cold weather. What, the year before last, I think, or so.
Right.
But
yeah, but even that was very unusual. I mean, that was like
totally
a 10 years type of thing.
Yeah, pipes were burning, bursting. Windmills couldn't turn; they were frozen, all that good stuff. So, so we're up here. So, hopefully we can stay on air. Like I say, it may be a little bit choppy. My internet connectivity is really bad. I got to be calling Verizon tomorrow if it doesn't get better. But we are going to get nailed pretty good. So, anyways, we're here. Been gone for a couple weeks. I apologize. It's been a really crazy time. Anyone that is close to me or is in my inner circles know what's going on. But just got some great family events happening, bringing some new members into the family, and welcome to a first granddaughter and things like that, and visiting my parents, and just a lot happening. And hunting was going on, and more hunting's going on. It's November, so sorry, been gone for the last couple weeks, but you can only do so much. If I could just get this show to pay all the bills, and that would be great. So
congratulations on the granddaughter, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're on cloud 9 for sure. We're very excited, and just nice to welcome a girl into this family that's always been all boys. So we needed some X chromosome into here. So I think it's X, right? So I also want to give a shout out to our Canadian brothers and sisters, and for anyone. So Toby's not here tonight. Of course, he's doing things down at Red Rum Sport Fishing, one of our sponsors. But anyone that knows the show Letterkenny, yes, I am drinking a Puppers. So if you know the show Letterkenny, and if you've ever watched it, these are real. And these are a beer that was made famous on that Canadian comedy show. A good friend of mine, one of my closest friends, was just there and picked up some finally. We've been looking for years to get some. So I am drinking a Puppers tonight in honor of all those north of the border, all my Canuck friends, fans, and listeners.
Very nice. Very nice.
So we got a lot going on, dude. We haven't been here for a couple of weeks. And as always with this show, you just got to wait till a Thursday, and you'll have all new news to talk about. And today did not let up off that tradition at all, and gave us plenty. So, but what do you got, Rob? We were talking before, and you got a number of things you want to dig into.
Where do you want to start? We can start with midterms. We can start with the results and what are the ramifications.
Let's talk about the midterms. I'd like to get your opinion on what you think. Obviously, a lot of people have been hindsight's 2020 and have been pontificating about what caused and why was there no wave, and it was just barely a ripple, blah blah blah. But what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that there's one particular thing that caused the red wave not to happen. I think it's a combination of multiple things. Some candidates that weren't really very good candidates. The Dr. Oz one comes to mind. He was not a very well liked guy. He doesn't have the best of past. The Herschel Walker down in Georgia is kind of an issue, but there's some great candidates also that just didn't win, and so those are for other reasons, like machine not tabulating properly,
like in Arizona,
voting machines down, like Kerry Lake, and so Katie Hobbs, in that election in particular, didn't debate. She didn't really campaign. She pulled a Biden, stayed in her basement, and yet somehow pulled out a win over Kerry Lake, who was very well liked, if you've ever seen her speak, she's a firecracker. She challenged Katie Hobbs numerous times to a debate, and she wouldn't do it. But that one, she hasn't conceded. Carrie Lake has not conceded, and she's going to fight that one legally. But there's a lot of other, Republicans didn't, whether it was the continued Trump derangement syndrome, because in normal elections you see McConnell and the leaders in the party really going to bat for all the candidates, and you didn't see as much of that as you normally see. Now, a lot of these candidates were Trump candidates, Trump-backed candidates, and there's still some people within the Republican Party that don't like Trump, and are willing to lose. Their hatred for him is more than their urge to win.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. Let me back it up a little bit. So you mentioned that Hobbs did not even obviously not campaigning and staying in the basement worked for Biden, right? So it's a winning, right, possibly a winning recipe. But when you talk about the leadership, Mitch McConnell, taking money away from Don Bolduc, I just wonder, and I don't know, did they think that that Don Bolduc, the retired general, really had it wrapped up in New Hampshire, or not giving money? Was it McMaster's, I think, or Masters that was going against in Arizona for the Senate? They never gave him $1? Do they think? I just curious in my own look back at everything, not knowing. And of course, Mitch McConnell was just reelected as the leader of the Republicans in the Senate today for some reason. We'll talk about that in a second. But why would you not put the millions you have in your war chest into those unless you really thought, were the polls that wrong for them? Were they being told the wrong thing, you think?
The only other option was it was intentional. Right. There's not really a lot of options for that kind of failure. And the sad thing is, you shouldn't reward people for that kind of failure. McConnell should not be rewarded, and neither should McCarthy, for the failure to not have a red wave. Those are the two.
This was really the most opportune time, right? Inflation's going through the roof. Crime is going through the roof. The president's rating is in the freaking tank. His approval ratings in the tank. Everything was lined. It was almost like all the cards. It's almost like they were playing poker. They knew the marked cards. They had the chance to have a royal flush, and yet they didn't do it. And this was the one time, if you're going to convince independents or convince moderates or people on the fence that, hey, you got to give us a chance because look how bad crime is, inflation is, all that kind of stuff. Yet they didn't capitalize on that. If a leader of a sports team, a coach, if a CEO of a company ran their company into the ground and did that kind of stuff, or if a team had a completely losing season, the whole season, they'd fire him. They'd replace him, bring in new ideas, new blood, whatever. I don't get. If Congress wants to know why they're so hated and why people don't like them, it's because you reelect people like McConnell and McCarthy and not give someone else a chance to be the coach.
Yep. Yes, they're going to win the House. Pelosi stepped down today. So yes, they take the House, but it's by the slimmest of margins, when it could have been so much more.
They may pick up a few more, but it won't be much for sure. And all it takes is a couple of rhinos to bail on them. Right? All it takes is a Murkowski,
absolutely,
or a Romney, or someone like that to bail on them, or McConnell to put pressure, and they're going to vote with the Democrats.
They could have very easily had veto-proof ability, and through whatever you want to throw against the wall and see what sticks, they squandered it.
That's what they needed. They had to have a veto-proof majority so they could actually get something done. And I don't know. I also kind of thought in my looking back was, do people in Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, where all the different places, I'm wondering, do they not realize that their choices or their choices, right, on candidates and stuff, that they think they're only local? Do they not realize that the national, because we don't have Congress, we don't have representatives anymore that are, look, just reality. Representatives anymore are not representing their constituents. They purely represent whatever their party tells them to do, right? Not that they haven't always been that way, but they're blatant now. They don't even care. They just if Pelosi tells them to vote this way, they vote this way. If McConnell or Schumer tells them to vote that way, they vote that way. So I'm wondering if people today are, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but are they ignorant to the fact that the choice they make is much, much more than just maybe what their elected representative are going to push for them in their state and county and stuff. But this really has a, if not international, impact.
Well, I had a passing thought yesterday because I've been thinking about this for a couple of days. And, despite, what's the old adage? How can you tell if a politician's lying? Their mouths are moving. When you see both Democrats and Republicans on the camera, saying, well, we've got to have faith in our elections. Well, think about if you don't have faith in your elections, what happens? You get the same people reelected over and over again. So if they destroy faith in the election process, and people just simply stop voting and don't care, would things be any different than what we have now?
Well, if you also destroy the integrity of the election process, you cause more strife and diversity, and possibly inch your way closer towards a civil war, right? Because people go, that's not what this country was founded on.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. And look, our good friend Dave Bellavia has been talking about this actually for the last couple of weeks, and last night, the other day when President Trump announced that he's rerunning, he said the same thing. Is that Dave has been talking about this for a while, and he and I have talked about this on the side. Is that all he wants, the only federal interaction he wants with the elections is just that mandate that states have to have the results in that day within 24 hours. This dragging out. I mean, how does Florida turn around? It's not like New York where they just get enough. They get New York City and they go, okay, this person's won it because they won New York City, right? You got places like Florida and other places, Texas, that can count all the votes and get them in. How is it that Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, all the rest of them, California, cannot? I mean, I think some of the races for congressional and for national are still going. How can they not freaking count? Right?
How long did it take to get results in Afghanistan?
Yeah, it was
a country we bombed.
Or Iraq, right? Where they
destroyed half of it.
Yeah, where they stuck their finger in purple ink, right?
Yes. How long did it take to get results there? I mean, if an Arizona or something like that should be embarrassed. I mean, they should. They won't be, but they should be embarrassed.
Whoever runs the Powerball should run our elections, because the Powerball, you have to verify who you are. You pick your choices, and within an hour or two, by the next morning after that 10 or 11 o'clock draw, they know someone in California won, right? They know exactly. I mean, which numbers came in and all that kind of stuff. It's I mean, the election process needs to be revamped. There are enough ways, whether you're voting for who you like on America's Got Talent, or you're making a selection for the Powerball, or you're doing something. We know how to do votes and tally up things and do it instantaneously with technology.
Well, we talked about it after the last presidential election. I mean, how embarrassing is it for this country to traipse across the globe, pushing democracy and voting on other countries that we've fought in, and then we can't even count our own votes properly. We still, in the year 2022, have issues after issues with our voting process.
And every hour past a 24-hour period, or every day, causes deeper and deeper distrust in the American people, who goes, this is fixed. We saw it in the presidential election, right? We saw the numbers going all night, and then 2 a.m. there was this big freeze, and then there was this big jump. And that's why people, millions of Americans, not a small minority, millions of Americans call BS on the presidential election of 2020, because they said, how do you go all night and Trump's ahead, and then at 2 a.m. everything freezes and people get thrown out of a counting room because there's a supposed water main break, blah, 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 and all of a sudden the other candidate who was trailing jumps way ahead, and then it stays. I mean, it's just, so that kind of stuff, the ability to uncount elections, the voter fraud stuff we're seeing, the inability to purge rolls, not having IDs to vote, is what's causing people to call BS. And then one side says, oh, you're an election denier, you're this fringe. Like, no, there's a reason I'm an election denier, because if you if you go vote in, I mean, if the Bills play Cleveland Sunday, which they're playing in Detroit now because of the snow, and they play, you want to know the score of the game right then. If they don't broadcast it and they say we'll let you know in a couple of days who won, you're gonna be like, what? Like, no. Why can't you tell me now?
Well,
I'll believe it when I see the
I've
game.
I've had this conversation with many people. If one person who wasn't supposed to vote voted, are you willing to give up your vote for that person? Are you willing to say your voice doesn't count because that individual who either may not be legal in the country or may have felony conviction or whatever, are you willing to give up your vote for that one individual that wasn't supposed to vote? So any instance, whether it's one or whether it's a million votes that weren't supposed to be, or votes that weren't counted. If a vote was not counted and it was yours, are you willing to say, my vote doesn't matter?
Right.
So to look at it as if it's not an individual problem, I would have to disagree with that and say that every vote should count, and
Right.
only those who are authorized should be allowed to vote.
Yep. Yeah.
Period.
Hey, if you
It's
go
not
vote,
that difficult.
if you go vote on AGT, they know what you voted. You can only vote so many times that they allow. You can't vote more than that. You can't, email addresses, phone number, whatever it is that makes it unique. But yeah, it's this whole concept. So, anyways, we back to what we were talking about, the red wave and that. I kind of look at, I kind of agree with you that there's not a silver bullet. Like, there's not a one thing that caused it. Whether they were bad polls, whether it was people, we got calls all the time here. I never talked to them, but whether it was the abortion issue, the Democrats played on the abortion issue, even though you didn't hear a lot about that. I mean, I'll take here in the state of New York. Hochul beat Zeldin. I saw Zeldin signs everywhere. I never saw Hochul signs. But then again, in 2020, I never saw a Biden sign anywhere, but I saw Trump signs everywhere. Right? I mean, it was. So when you look at that, and but New York's an anomaly because, again, the 5 boroughs in New York City, which is why we don't want them to be part of the state. Everyone keeps pushing, or everyone thinks like me wants New York City to be its own separate place, but this state can be as it is everywhere else besides the city. People want, they want to know that their vote matters, and they want to not be all driven by people that live in a bubble, right? But DC thinks everything lives in a beltway. New York thinks everything lives in the 5 boroughs, and everywhere else are just red. LA thinks everything lives in LA, right? But they, it's just the Republicans could beat it, and this was the time for them to clean house. There could have been a red wave. Was Donald Trump toxic on this one? It kind of looks that way because a number of the people he endorsed, but then a number of the people he endorsed won. J.D. Vance, other folks, one that he endorsed. You mentioned Oz wasn't a great candidate, yeah, but my God, Fetterman was nowhere near
Fetterman
him.
was horrible,
right?
Horrible.
I mean, I don't know who, and I'll say this right here, I don't care who I offend. I don't know who's stupider in this country, the citizens of Pennsylvania or the citizens of New York. Because the citizens of New York elected Hochul for the first time, because she wasn't elected before, and she's driven this state into the ground with the economy and crime. Or the citizens of Pennsylvania, who I think they outdo the New York ones, for electing Fetterman, who's an absolute flip-flopping idiot. Who I don't know how they expect he's gonna represent them on the floor of the Senate when he's gonna have to have some transcriber and a 50-inch monitor in front of him to read words to know what he's talking about. I mean, honestly, the people of Pennsylvania are freaking stupid, and so are the people in New York. Clear and simple. It's just, I'll call it like it is. I'm here in New York.
There's plenty to go around. I mean, there's an individual in Georgia who's been re-elected for the last 20 years, who at one point thought putting more troops on Guam would cause the island to tip over. So that's Representative Hank Johnson. If you've never seen that video, YouTube, Hank Johnson, island tip over. It is hilarious. I can't believe the admiral answering the question was able to keep a straight face. So
yeah, it's and American people are putting him there, right?
Yeah,
we
need to stop making stupid people famous.
Right. were good candidates? Were some candidates put up just because they were Trump endorsed candidates, or what? I mean, did the Republican Party, who of course was after Trump, he had to fight them to even win in 2016. Was the Republican Party, and it kind of looks that way, did they pull funding from Trump endorsed candidates like Masters and Bolduc and others? I mean, that's what it appears. It appears Mitch McConnell took that money and pulled it away, and to spite Donald Trump endorsed candidates versus putting his party comfortably in power in both houses of Congress, right? And
Well, I watched an Instagram video the other day of Joe Collins, who we've had on the show, and he's has run a couple of times in California as a Republican, and he was asked by one of the Republican groups for, hey, we'll give you funding. What we ask in return is you give us, names and email addresses. This is the block of names and email addresses we'll give you. And he even said he will show email proof of the conversation. And he got exactly $0 from the Republican Party.
And he was running he was representing that ticket.
Yes. $0. So, it wasn't all bad. There was a couple of good things to come out of this election.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams lost again.
Yes, Beto.
Beto lost again.
Yep.
And
I think they should form the 24 ticket, the losing ticket. Just those two together. That's what I think.
Yeah. And then my favorite one of all, Nancy Pelosi losing the gavel. She is
staying in Congress, but she's not going to be sitting up there behind the president.
Which is an embarrassment. I mean, you have to be 35 to run for president. You have to be 30 to run for the Senate and 25 to run for the House. We need a top end limit. She's 82 years old. Yeah. My father-in-law loved the guy to death. He's 81. I would not want him in Congress.
Right.
Love the great guy, smart, fantastic. But at 81 years old,
well, Biden just turned 80, right? And he's saying he's going to run in 2 years.
Yeah. Right? We need a top end limit.
Yeah, there should be. I mean, you get past a certain age. You get past a certain age, you lose your license. Right.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
You should not be able to be eligible to lose your license, but you can drive this country into the ground. Right. And make because you're not running the country. Someone's doing it for you. We have that now. We've had that for the last 2 years, right? Ron Klain, the chief of staff, is running this country. That's why Biden always says they told me not to take questions. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Whatever. I'm the president. I'd be like, F everybody. I do what I want. He's always talking about getting in trouble, and he's not supposed to do that. And they're going to be mad at him. And everyone keeps asking, who's they? Who are you talking about, right? But yeah, it's so yeah, she's losing the gavel. It's going to McCarthy. Let's see what he can do. They don't have a veto-proof majority. It is probably going to be besides a lame duck president, it's going to be a lame duck Congress for the next 2 years. Nothing's going to happen, right? Because everyone's going to pull to their corners and stick to their guns, right? A few will cross over here and there. Maybe a Manchin, a Sinema may cross over the Republicans a little bit, and the Romneys and the Rick from Maine. They'll go to the others. Oh, another good thing too, of course, is Cheney's out, so she's gone. Of course, that already happened.
Right,
and stuff. But yeah, it's if anything positive comes, so one thing for me that the House is that now we can get some, and of course they started talking about today, some real investigations into what's going on with this Hunter Biden thing. So, there's going to be no more covering that up. Senate Intelligence Committee. Committee, the Judiciary Committee, all that stuff are about to start opening some cans, digging into what's going on.
Well, let's hope it doesn't turn into another, Benghazi, where we know there was wrongdoing, yet nobody was ever held accountable.
Right.
Washington protects itself. They circle the wagons better than anybody on the planet, and it's not just the politicians. It's the every contracting company, every donor, every politician, everybody within the belt circles the wagons and protects each other.
Well, who's the senator from the young guy from Missouri?
Um, I know who you're talking about.
Rob Harley, right? Harley, is it? Is that who
Hawley. Yeah.
I agreed with what he said the other day. The Republican Party is dead. It needs to get burned to the ground. And I completely agree with him. It needs to get burned to the ground. The McConnells, the Grahams, all the rest of them, they need to burn it down and start all over. Because, I think he said it for kind of the same reason that you and I opened up with was, if there should have been a red wave, it should have been now. They had every opportunity, and they obviously did not unite. Say what you want about the Democrats. They will unite behind their people and act like nothing was done wrong. I mean, you got Swalwell out there sleeping with Chinese spies, all this other stuff. They don't hold anyone accountable. They just go, nothing to see here. And the Republicans turn on each other in a second.
Quick. Yeah.
And you know, things like McConnell, having grudges because people ran against him or said things about him. And, Bolduc said something about him, and so he pulls his funding and that kind of stuff. I mean, this high school level pissant BS, they don't stick together. The Democrats do. And they just go, nope, we don't know what you're talking about. I have no comment on that, whatever. So I think Hawley is right. This Republican Party, I consider myself a conservative libertarian because I believe in true smaller government. I believe it's all about the 10th Amendment. Unfortunately, the libertarians can never put up a reasonable and, non-crazy looking candidate. But that's what I believe in. The Republican Party does not always believe in that. They times in their spending and everything. But,
no Republican Congress, and look at history, no Republican Congress has ever reduced spending. They preach on it. They will go in front of every camera and preach, reduce spending, and then they go and pass, billions and billions of dollars to give to a country like Ukraine. They continue.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's why Donald Trump was such a threat to them, because he reduced regulations, he reduced, he cut spending where he could, didn't even take a salary himself, he was cutting people. I mean, we literally, honestly, the craziest. Elon Musk needs to run for president, and he needs to come in here and fire half the freaking government employees. And starting with the Congress for sure.
Unfortunately, he can't run. So
no, he can't. He's kind of a South African citizen, so he can't do that. But what else? We hit on one topic there for almost 30-40 minutes. What else do you got, Rob?
Well, speaking of Elon, he's now all of a sudden, they want to go after him for, because he controls Twitter, and he's now fact checking the White House. He just fact checked Elizabeth Warren, which was hilarious. He wants to, start removing the blue check marks and start charging people $8.
He did, $8.
Yeah. I mean, some people are willing to do it. Some people are not willing to do it. The blue check mark in the way it was given was exactly what I said before. We need to stop making stupid people famous.
Yeah, it was a class. It built a class system, which is why I didn't like it. That's why when AOC complained, he said, "Yeah, whatever. You got $8." Yeah. I mean,
still $8.
Yeah, that's right. It really made people feel important. It made them feel special. It's almost like they had the fanciest car in the street. Like, oh, I got a blue check mark. I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't give me freaking squat. I can get it done and buy me a cup of coffee. Who cares? But yeah, so yeah, he is making some news, man. I think today was the ultimatum, right? He told people either, I think it was sign an agreement or something like that. They're going to come in 40 hours a week, or they'll get 3 months of severance. Like they had to by the end of today. And that was the people left after he fired half the. That was the other.
Oh
half.
Yeah. I mean, but that's standard practice. I mean, when you take over, especially a technology company, I mean, you're in the IT business. You have to isolate your proprietary data and your information, right? So you have to protect that to make sure that there's not bad actors that are inside. And so what he did was he locked out all the engineers and brought in all his Tesla engineers and said, okay, start analyzing code, start looking at what we got. Let's make sure it's running properly and keep it running, and then then we can start making changes later.
Yeah, I mean, M&A activities, merger and acquisitions, they usually one company merges with another one or acquires another one. It takes a couple years. You merge your back end systems. Do that, find duplicity. We have 2 HR departments. Let them go. We got 2 marketing departments. I mean, he came right in and was like, He is not even giving them the time of day to do that. Cut half right up front, and the other half you go, no, there's no working from home. You come in 40 hours, you're gonna, and he's telling them. I mean, the email I think that went out last night was, it's going to be hard. We're going to work long hours. We're going to rebuild Twitter. Blah blah blah. He's not sugarcoating. He's not telling it's going to be nap pods and free ice cream every day in the break room. It's, we're going after it. So,
well, as long as it doesn't become FTX.
yes. Yeah, that's how deep's that rabbit hole going to go, especially with the Dems?
I'm going to go on record and say now that I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Oh, the
but his lifespan, I'm thinking got really, really short.
Like Epstein, Epstein level short,
like Epstein type short. He and anybody in the top ranks that have any information on that, whether it's former government officials or current government officials or foreign dignitaries and such, I just feel his lifespan is not going to be much longer.
Well, it's amazing. You like this show, The Finding Anna, right? About this girl, Anna, or whatever her name is, the Russian girl who ripped off everyone, and it was all over. The show was on Netflix and stuff, and she was faking as a German heiress, and she had nothing, right? And then you have this guy who, looks all shaggy, dresses like a freaking bum, lives in the Bahamas. All of his top staff live with him, and they just have a big polyamorous relationship, and everybody sleeps with everybody. I saw some footage of him tonight. He was like on with Chuck Todd and stuff, and he's just shaking the whole time like he's on, withdrawals. And it's like, and they were giving this dude billions. Like he was, he's making these videos how he's vegan because he cares about the earth and this and that, whatever. And he doesn't even do, and we're talking about professionals, multi-million, if not billionaire professionals that looked at this and said, oh, that dude's going to handle my money. I mean,
right.
What the heck were they doing? And now today he had the balls come out and said he needed $8 billion more from his investors to make everything right. I mean, you got cojones, and then you got stainless steel ones when you lose all their money and you're like, oh, I need another $8 billion, and I'll do it right. And guess what? Anyone gives their money to him, you deserve not to have that money. Like,
well, I mean, isn't the Biden administration asking for more money for Ukraine? I did see where Marjorie Taylor Greene is asking for an audit. She wants to know where the money is being spent.
Yeah.
Which we have a right to know as American taxpayers. We need to know where that money's gone.
Give them guns.
FTX,
it's like, give them guns, give them ammunition. Don't give them money, right? Give young people trades, give them training, give them education, but don't just give them a big fat check and say this will get you started in life. No,
right.
You give them the tangible thing. Giving $37 billion, giving $19 billion to Ukraine. Where are they spending it? Is it guns? Yeah. Guns are us. Like, who are they? What kind of people or organizations are they buying the weapons and munitions and stuff they need? Probably not reputable, if not from a nation state that we hope they are buying it from. That is an ally of ours, right? So why would you give them all this stuff? Keep shipping them javelins. Send them for M1s, Patriots. I don't care, but don't just.
We could have shipped them everything we left in Afghanistan.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Yeah, for the first, at least until we started really dumping stuff over there, Afghanistan, Taliban was better armed than Ukraine was when it started back in April. Yeah.
But back to that FTX, if you look, so there's a website, I don't know if you've ever used it, called opensecrets.org. And you can either search by a elected official, or you can search by a company. And you can see where their donations either came from or where they went to. And if you search for FTX, they gave just as much to Democrats as they did Republicans, which the conspiracy theorist in me says, okay, well, now it makes sense why Republicans were fully on board with continuing to sign bills for millions and millions and billions of dollars to go to Ukraine, when Ukraine has ties to FTX as well. So
I thought 95%. I thought 95% of their political donations were going to Democrats. I thought that's what was determined.
No, 15 million went to the American Dream Federal Action. That's a Republican organization. Congressional Leadership Fund, 2,750,000. Senate Leadership Fund, 2,500,000. So they were sending money to both,
Hmm.
at least according to Open Secrets. So, I mean, if depending on what media you watch, they're going to say, "Oh, well, they were giving money here, they were giving money here," but Open Secrets is supposed to be nonpartisan. It's supposed to be actual factual data, and if you go look at it, you can see exactly where the money was going, and it was going to both Republicans and Democrats.
Hmm.
So I have to question why everybody was so on board with giving so much money to Ukraine, who also has ties to FTX.
Right. Right.
So how much of that money came back in the form of donations to different campaigns? So I mean, if I'm wrong, great, fantastic. But I think it's worth looking at.
Yeah, I
It's
think
worth an audit.
this is gonna get opened up, and I guess we'll probably see on who really digs for it to be opened up, and who doesn't. We can tell you where it goes, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's almost. I mean, I don't want to sound too conspiracy theory, but it's almost, they say history repeats itself. But I hear Ukraine, and I almost hear Iran. I almost hear Nicaragua.
Right.
I hear Iran Contra when I
Yeah.
think of the money that moved in. And granted, I was a lot younger then and stuff, and at the time didn't. But when I hear Ukraine, it's almost like, oh, Nicaragua, we got to dump all this stuff, we got to do this stuff, and fight the Sandinistas and all that kind of stuff. Oh, we need a
That
good
property
war.
is only about an hour from me, by the way.
Yeah,
Here
and
in Arkansas.
yeah, and point, and just the whole proxy war. I mean, for Milley to say yesterday that we'll help Ukraine fight for as long as it takes. That,
As long as it takes.
I mean, that's
multiple times he said that.
right. Open-ended checkbook. Why? Why do we need to help them? They're doing pretty good. And I'm seeing pictures from over there, and it's not like they have the latest and greatest. I see a lot of dudes, including some Americans over there helping, fighting with AKs and everything. So they're not, they're not shooting scars. They're not out there hunting with they're not there hunting. They're not there shooting the highest end, everything. They're getting rockets and missiles and stuff. But yeah, they seem to be doing okay. They blew up an awesome bridge and did that damage. So forth. Yeah. So
Well, speaking of rockets, I mean, one of theirs landed in Poland. One of their, rockets, they were air defense, and they tried to blame Russia. And then that almost drug us into what is it, Article 5
what's your
of
thoughts on?
NATO.
Do you think that's true, or do you think we just kind of lied and everyone lied to say we don't want it to go to war with Russia?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to say again too conspiracy theory, but it's like, hey, Poland, we know it sucks you lost 2 people, but if we tell everyone that Russia did this, we know they didn't mean to. Their rockets suck. They don't know how to aim stuff. But if we tell everyone that, we're going to be compelled to go against Article 5, and Zelensky's going to say, see, But if we just say, hey, it's Ukraine's missiles that, not sure why they were shooting west, but should have been shooting east to hit the rockets. We say it's them, then we give Russia a bye and just say, hey, please don't do that again. I don't know. It's
well, even Zelensky was still saying after the reports came out and went, yeah, okay, well, this was Ukrainian, this was an air defense.
Okay.
And Zelensky was still saying, no, it wasn't ours. They just shot a rocket into a NATO country, and you need to enact Article 5.
Right,
because
Zelensky
even
wants,
after all the reports came out,
well, yeah,
he wants us there.
Yeah, he wants us. He wants all of NATO to back him up,
Right.
and he wants us to take over air and all that. That's why I wonder if it was like, it's almost like the people that plug their nose when they vote. Did U.S. and Poland and them come and say, let's just lie this one time. Russia came to us on the back channel and said, hey, it was our screw up. We'll punish it. We didn't mean to. It was a sorry,
Right.
but don't put us all in a position on the world stage to say that we're going to step forward. Because if they don't, then the world's going to go, then what the hell's NATO for? You just attacked
exactly.
A NATO member, Article 5. You didn't execute it. That just means NATO's just full of shit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
not trying to ban conspiracy
with some denial and stuff like that. That everybody saves a little bit of face, except for Zelensky, who's
right.
Let's face it, he's not going to save any face at this point anyway.
Yeah, it may come out one day. The truth may or may not, or maybe this is the truth. Maybe it was a Ukrainian anti-defense missile that somehow shot west. and whatever. And I don't know how far into Poland it went. Maybe it's right near the border. I don't know, but
Yeah.
the war's still going though. That's for sure. And we're still
And we're
funding.
still
And we're
sending
still
money.
funding it. We're sending them money. And it's funny you hear the left go, but we've lost no troops. One that you know of. One. Number
Right.
two. How many other lives are going to be sacrificed for the long haul when we just keep printing out and sending them billions that we don't? So even though the losses may not be, what are the secondary and tertiary effects of just sending them $30 to $40 billion?
Well, and government is incapable of focusing on more than one thing at a time.
Right.
Our borders are unsecure.
Right.
We've got drugs coming across. We've got, illegals coming across. We've got, we've got a homeless problem. We've got a crime problem. We've got, and we're focused on a country that has plenty of support from NATO allies.
Right.
We don't need to continue to focus over there when our own backyard.
Oh, our own backyard, yeah. We're worrying about what the neighbors got in their yard. We're calling an HOA on them, and our yard looks like shit. We got cars up on jack stands and cinder blocks, and our kids are running around in the diapers, and the freaking dog's loose. And the fence is tore down from a tree that fell, and we're worried about the neighbors just have an RV parked in front of the yard, breaking the HOA rule. Right? That's essentially what we're doing.
Yeah. So they need to stop focusing on that.
We're living like trailer trash, and we're trying to call crap on everyone else.
Yeah.
But
I mean, let's face it. I mean, with the Biden administration, they don't want to close the border. They don't want to fix those problems. You look at all of the Democrat elected DAs across all of the cities where there's major crime. I mean, these are their policies. And they never admit to failure. I mean, they would never admit to that, because then they would lose an election. They would, lose whatever. But I mean, it is their own policies. It's their own doing that is causing these problems, and they never admit to their failures. Never.
Well, in my talk at his head, I just got a great idea. We need someone to Photoshop Biden's face on Cousin Eddie, doing the shitters full for Christmas vacation. I think it's neat. I talked to our good buddy Chuck Ziegenfuss, who's great at photoshopping. He sent me some stuff today. We need a Joe Biden face on Cousin Eddie. We're like, shitters full. That's America.
Yeah,
right there. That's where it is. Just in time, the Christmas Vacation, the staple Christmas movie. Unlike Doug doesn't watch that. Doug watches a lot of Hallmark. I'm not sure they play Christmas Vacation on Hallmark, but yeah, maybe. He'll quick to say, but yeah. Wow, man, we are almost at an hour already. What else you got?
Did you see? So the Senate passed a resolution to end the national emergency that was enacted for all of COVID.
I did not see that.
37 Democrats voted against it.
Really?
What are they thinking?
So, I mean, so did it pass to end it, or what?
It passed. Okay. It passed like 71 or 70 something to whatever. But what are those 37 thinking? I mean, are they still living in this tyrannical cloud, or I just don't understand the thought process of not voting to end that. No entity control will ever willingly give it back up. Whether it's a government or an individual, they're not going to willingly give it back up like that. And those 37 Democrats just proved it.
I wonder what their reasoning is for voting. Like, if they were asked by their constituents or someone, what would be their reason? Why do they think? I mean, the president said a long time ago, COVID's over, right? And obviously everyone's back to normal, as normal can be. I mean, people are just like, it's a damn flu, forget it, right? And, but I'm wondering what the reason is why to keep those things in place.
Maybe they like the access to emergency funds. Maybe I just don't know.
Did any Republicans vote to keep it?
I'll have to go back and read the article again, but I don't think any Republicans did.
Yeah, I did not hear about that, but obviously a lot of other news going on, but something else. So did you see his thing about these 4 college kids in Idaho murdered? I mean, that just it's just. And the reports now coming out, I mean, the pictures of the blood running down the outside wall, and just I mean, some of the reports that are coming out now are saying it's just absolutely horrific. Used a large knife. They're referring to like a Marine cave, and just no
No suspect
no suspects at
right
all.
now.
Yeah, now they're starting to allude to maybe more than one person, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the crime scene looked like, but I mean, it's pretty difficult for one person to go on a stabbing spree like that and kill 4 people. Without some sort of struggle going on, to stop him. So that would be kind of suspicious if one person was able to do that.
Unless they were incapacitated, drunk, high, whatever.
Very well,
right?
very
Something
well.
like that.
Could
But
be.
yeah,
Yeah.
for 4 people, and then there could be defensive wounds, that kind of stuff, and
Right.
hopefully they got some DNA off of them. It's a pretty horrific crime. A small university in Idaho.
Yeah.
Not your, and I guess it's probably disturbing is it's, not that any life loss bad is good or less than more than the other, but I mean, Chicago, Baltimore, all these others, New York City,
Right.
they're just crimes all the time. It's like, okay, yeah, more people are murdered, whatever, but small, not a major university, small university in Idaho, and have 4 people done like that. Yeah, it's
Well,
something else.
and things like that when they happen in places that aren't used to it. I mean, it changes the community.
Right.
You can see changes that actually happen.
We had that. I mean, Buffalo.
to-
Look, Buffalo has its own crime downtown,
Yeah.
but when the shooting happened at the Tops grocery store, I mean, it changed this whole town. I mean, it was
Yeah.
it had it's had an impact on this city and the suburbs when that happened for sure. It was I can imagine
People become less friendly. They become more cautious. They
I think
more
you kind of see.
standoff.
I think you see both. No, I think it's. I would say it's kind of maybe some, but I think it's more of people get a little bit more compassionate. People. I mean, it's like 9/11 happened, right? People in New York City, the city that people would step over dead people, homeless people on drugs, didn't give a shit, pushed around people, were rude, right? That's what New York was made for. I mean, 9/11 made everyone grab everyone and hug.
Right.
And I think that kind of happened here. Obviously, we all profile people. It just happens naturally, right? Someone that has a look or acts or moves or in a certain way that in the past has been a sign of threat. You're going to look at that person, right? A kid walks into a freaking school with a long black trench coat on, dressed in black. He's going to get the side eye, right? I mean, that's just what's going to happen thanks to Columbine and others. So, I think that will happen. People are more aware, just like after 9/11 too. When people started flying, I was flying not too long after. I caught myself. I was looking at, before I would sit on a plane. I was flying every week. Kind of sit down, put your headphones on, just wait for it to board. You don't even listen to the message. You don't pay attention to anyone else. So after 9/11, it was like I was staring everyone in the face. I was looking them in the eye and trying to analyze them in a half a second. Yep. Are they a threat? Is that person? Do they look like they would try to grab a box cut? Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's that. But no, we have that. I saw today too a house somewhere. I want to say down in New Mexico somewhere. They found a house with a whole family, 5 dead in it.
I read a little bit about that, but I didn't.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, they found 5 of them at Arizona and Phoenix. I mean, you just kind of see that stuff and. Of course, this crime continues to get worse, and people are going to take them. They're going to take their security in their own hands for sure.
Well, I did read an article that Target said that they've lost $400 million in revenue this year due to theft, and things like that.
Well,
I mean,
it's funny.
They're emboldened in places like California to just walk in and take what they want and walk out because there's no repercussions for it.
Yeah. Well, my son who came home tonight from school for the Thanksgiving break, we just picked him up right before the show started, and he was telling us how he was last night in a Dick's Sporting Goods, and watched a dude. He's sitting there watching. But my son kind of comes from my family, so he has situational awareness. He kind of trained him that way, and he watched this guy walk around and walk past the registers with 2 full bags, and the manager's by the door, and she asked him what he was doing, what he had in the bag, and she went to reach in there, and he just bolted. He said he was like a mid-40s white guy, and he just bolted in. Half the store employees chased after him and all that kind of stuff. He's just walking out. Like, he made some comment, and my son's sitting there checking out. It happened right in front of him, and the guy just He wasn't fitting. It wasn't a young black guy with a hoodie on, this and that, whatever. He was just like, I got my 2 bags of stuff. I need some clothes. They were full of clothes, and he tore off. I don't know if he got away or what, but I mean, it's just, people. Hey, everything in life is motivated via carrot or a stick, and when you take the stick away, things like bail reform, that kind of stuff, and let set a precedence of letting crimes and riots and flash mob robberies happen. Good enough for them. I can do it. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and with social media, I mean, you see it happening, all the time, right?
Right.
So younger kids can even see it, and now they're like, oh, well, they're getting away with it. So I can go do it.
Look, when you're in the military, when you're in the army, right? You're if your squad mate or whatever does something, and your squad leader or platoon sergeant doesn't punish them, right?
Sure.
Then you're like, shit. If they piss hot, and everyone knows it, and you piss hot, and they don't take any action, like, well, start smoking me some doob. If they freaking get drunk and crash their car, or if they do whatever, if they have an accidental discharge, negligent discharge, and nothing happens to them, then it's like they can't say nothing to me. Because if it happens to me, I'll be like, what about Joe Blow, right? What about Private Snuffy, who did the same thing? You guys didn't do it. In fact, you promoted him. He's now specialist. Or worst case, a leader does something. Right.
And it doesn't
and this is military, civilian, either, right? Your leader does something, you see it, they do it blatantly in front of you. Kind of an open ticket, you can do it too. They can't say nothing, you got them. Sure. All right.
And now we've made full circle back to the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah, that's right. And the House GOP is ready to start investigating. And it's let's see if that'll go anywhere. I think it'll be dragged out over the next 2 years. I hope they do those hearings.
It'll be used
as a
political weapon.
I hope they do those hearings. If they are smart, if the Republicans have 1 ounce of brain power, they will not do them televised. They don't need to. They don't need Hunter Biden tried in the court of public opinion. They don't need the American people to have an opinion on one way. The guy made videos himself that are out there. He's pretty much a piece of shit. You can see that.
Sure.
They don't need to give the Dems a podium to do their 5-minute rant and do whatever they're going to do. It all needs to be non-televised. Just the House. Anyone that sits in there, like they do courts, someone can draw pictures if they want, but strip away that camera from giving someone a chance to rant for 5 minutes, because that's all the Dems are going to do. They're going to do the point of orders. They're going to do the interruptions. They're going to spend 5 minutes talking about something that's not related, how much they hate Trump or whatever, and just going to drag it out. If the Republicans are smart, they will be non-televised investigation hearings.
Well, I've already seen social media people talking about, well, I don't care about Hunter Biden's laptop. Like I can guarantee, if it was Donald Trump Jr.'s laptop, your attitude would change. You would give a shit.
Those people that say that care about January 6th.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So
they care about
it's all partisan. It's all the divide gets deeper and wider.
And that's why the American people with common sense, the American people that pay attention to what's happening, and I don't care if they're left, right, center, or what they are. That's why they are getting sick and tired of it. And they are of every color, creed, background, first, second, third generation, doesn't matter. They're getting sick and tired of it. The people that don't pay attention, the people that, when you see the man on the street interviews and they can't even name who the president is, and they're just like, I don't know, dude, I'm just, whatever. The ones that just vote the party line and don't have an opinion on anything, that don't pay attention to the news and don't pay attention to what's happening. Yeah, they're the reason why people keep getting put back in office. They're the reason why people like Nancy Pelosi can do 30 years in the Senate or in the House, right? Because they're not paying attention. They're just voting with what they're told to do and just saying, get my free stuff or whatever. I'm doing it because my parents always voted that way.
The top candidate to replace her, by the way, so far is Hakeem Jeffries.
Who?
That's who.
Jeffries?
Hakeem Jeffries.
Has he got the most votes, or?
No, but he and I mean in the hierarchy of things, he's he's already a couple of rungs down, but he kind of checks a lot of boxes. He's way further left of center. He's a minority, and those are the things that matter to the party. They don't, they're not about substance. They're not about your abilities. They're all about all of the different check blocks. And I'm seeing a lot of chatter where he's the candidate to replace her, because the number two individual has already said he's not running for it.
Who's that?
He's just going to be a. I forget what his name was, but he's been in the House for a long
Jeffries
time.
is out of New York, I think, right? Yeah,
I believe he is.
Yeah,
I believe he is.
But
There's like two other very prominent, long-serving Democrats in the House that have already said that they're not going to vie for it.
Oh, he's the Democratic Conference chairman. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and he only got elected in Congress in 2012.
Yeah, he hasn't been there long.
But he's a big fundraiser.
I mean, that's kind of the direction.
Yeah, and he's got the backing of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Absolutely. Kind of the direction they're going anyway. I mean, a lot younger, a lot more extreme, a lot more the direction the party's going and has been going for a while. So,
Denny Hoyer's not going to go for it. I'm reading that too. And
that's it.
Feinstein's retiring, and Schiff is thinking about making a Senate run. So, yeah, it's that would be it. Yeah, well, I mean, it's he'd be the House Minority Leader. I mean, he's not going to be sitting up on the stage.
Well, for now, but right. Until Republicans make their next stupid mistake.
Yeah. And put another Democrat back in office in 2024.
Right.
Hey, we've been going a little over an hour, man. We got any other hot things you want to cover? We covered quite a bit. Obviously, we knew we'd be covering politics and.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Any big plans for Thanksgiving?
No, this is one of the first years none of the kids are coming up. The week after Thanksgiving, my oldest daughter will be in town, her and her husband. But for actual Thanksgiving, this is one of the first years. My kids are now spread to the four winds. I've got one in New York, one in Virginia, and two down in Texas. Yeah, this will be the first year that none of the kids are coming home.
Is it hunting season in Arkansas yet? Should be bow season.
Right. Hunting season here is weird. Like rifle is split. There's a break in there. There's like a 2-week break, and then you get two or three more days. So it's really weird.
Have you been out yet, or are you going out?
I have not. I'm probably not going to make it this year because I do have a lot of other things going on. So like I said, that fishing trip was one of the things. I was out of state, down in Texas fishing. Just got a lot of other things going on this year. Wife is getting ready to go back to Texas for a little bit, see her parents, see our new grandson.
Yes, congrats on that.
A lot of travel and a lot of things like that. So
yeah. Okay. Well, so just you and the wife for Thanksgiving?
Just me and the wife. Now I'm hoping next year. To bow at least here, and I do want to. I think turkey starts April here. I think is what it is.
It's been a while since I lived in Arkansas. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say it's April.
Are you? So you guys got any plans? Are you doing anything big? Are you doing the Denny's turkey or Cracker Barrel Thanksgiving dinner? Or we'll
probably cook a small thing here, and that's about it.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I got my one son's home from college, and my other one lives here, so I'll probably be doing a smoked turkey. Actually, last couple of years I did a smoked and a deep fried. I gotta talk to them too when they want, and probably just do one thing right here after hunting for next days, but and digging out of the snow, which is now coming down pretty heavily where I live. Everything is covered in white. When we started, there wasn't a thing an hour ago. Now everything is covered in white art. It is hitting us.
Oh wow!
But yeah. So well, I hope you and all. We're not going to do a show next week. I think we should be able to do the show the week after, which I believe is
the first.
The first, yeah. That's December 1st. It is. So we should be able to be back then. I don't know what my schedule entails, but I don't think I'd be gone anywhere. So we should be doing that. But we hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is one of my. I like Thanksgiving better than Christmas. I really do. it's always meant more to me to bring them together. I mean, Christmas is great, but it's to me, Thanksgiving is just, there's no other things in the way. It's really about, you are together at Christmas, but Thanksgiving is really about, everything leading up to it, watching the parades, cooking all day, eating, getting ready to go Black Friday shopping. So just to me, it's more together time than Christmas. Christmas, you open everything, and especially you have kids, they're off running to the four winds, stuff, and you don't really get as much family. Really,
well, it's the first big family gathering for the year, right? So none of the other holidays were really big family gatherings. I mean, maybe 4th of July you do some barbecue, maybe the kids come home, maybe they don't.
Right.
But Thanksgiving is that first big family-oriented holiday.
Right.
So
yeah, we're looking forward to that. Hope everyone has a great one. Enjoys time with family and loved ones and friends, and gives thanks for this country we have. Because yes, even though it has all of its faults, even though we have these shady elections and that whatever, the reality is it's still a better country than anywhere else. And if you don't believe me, look at the southern border, because they're all coming in and ain't nobody leaving. So this country, with all of its faults and all of its bruises and all of its ugliness, in some times, in some places, is still a hell of a lot better than anywhere else in this world. And be thankful for that. Be thankful for our first responders, law enforcement, fire, military, and also I want to mention, also be with those that are those sheriff's deputies that were mowed down out in California while running, trainees, and think about them as they recover. I'm sure some of those injuries are horrific, but yeah, be thankful for the country. Be thankful for those that serve the country, not themselves. So I want to distinguish that between the military and first responders and community people versus members of Congress.
Wasn't Border Patrol somebody like 5 shot? Just was it today?
I heard something about Border Patrol shot down near.
One died.
Oh, was it?
I think 5 shot total. Yeah.
Be thankful we got men and women that step into that breach, and even though the federal government doesn't try to enforce its own laws, at least we have men and women that have raised their right hand to do. So. All right. With that being said, we'll let everyone go. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you so much, Rob. As always, it's great having you with me. We wish Toby the best as he's still down there. I hope to see him soon. I'm hoping to come down to Texas in December sometime, and I gotta reach out to Toby, but I would definitely like to see him again or get him back on here. I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks, as I know he's busy running Red Rum Fishing. So.
Yeah, I send him a text every now and then just to make sure he's still alive.
Yeah, I get a couple jokes and things from him, but yeah. So, all right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone else. Everyone have a great night, a great weekend, and a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir.
You had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.